burlesque is not about what your body looks like. It's just about like being comfortable in who you are and being comfortable in your own skin and like having a lot of fun, like telling a story through taking off your clothes. Which is always a great time. But yeah, it was really a confidence booster, and like it made me feel really good about like my body, and like because of burlesque I've created such like a lovely like relationship with my self-esteem and like with how I look and how my body moves and things like that. I'm like, not even the fact of like, oh, this is just how I look, but I'm like, oh, if I twist my hips this way, like people will go wild. I'm like, it's very cool to like be able to captivate an entire audience by just like little movements like that and things like that.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is season 5 of Willfully Funny. And this week, my guest is Betty Baewatch. Betty is a burlesque performer that I met about a month ago at a show by Small Fish. And I thought her story was fascinating and interesting. And I asked her to be a guest on the show. And she's here with us this week. So welcome, Betty. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be on. I think this is the first podcast I've ever been on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. So before we get started, can you share your social media with our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just have Instagram, but you can find me on Instagram at Betty Baewatch. Bay spelt with an E and not a Y.
Oh, Bay, okay. Like
Bay
before all else, like Bay.
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we met, I think it was at the end of March.
Yeah.
I think that's when it was, when we were both performing on a variety show put on by a Small Fish show, Glennis and Maggie. And that's where we met. And I had never seen burlesque before.
Oh, really?
I knew what it was. Like I knew what it was. I'd seen it on TV and things like in movies and things like that, but I'd never seen it live.
Oh, that's so fun.
So that was like my first experience with it. And I gotta tell you, I loved it.
Oh, thank you so much.
I loved it to the point that I've been like Googling like burlesque classes and everything because it just seemed so, I don't know, empowering.
It 100% is.
Like it was fun. It looked fun. It was sexy and empowering. And I was like, I gotta get some of that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to feel that way, So tell me about your journey, like how you got started, like how you discovered it and started performing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was something like I kind of knew about for quite a while, like even to the point where it's like when I was in high school, I was familiar with what burlesque was. But it really took me like a few years to be like, like, I don't know if I should do that. Like, it seems great and like super empowering, but I was like, I don't really have any formal dance training or anything. So like, I don't know if I'd be good at it. But during one summer, I was just painfully bored with my life that I decided, hey, I found a class online. Why don't I go and like sign up for it and go into the studio and try it out? And once I did that first sort of like it was just like a group performance thing, and you do like a little like recital at like the Bourbon Room when the Bourbon Room was still a thing. And yeah, that's kind of how I like started and got into it. And the second I like felt that energy from like the crowd, I was just like, oh, I'm hooked. Like I love this.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So then I kept performing. Like I did like some classes, and then I did some like solo work on my own, and I joined a Ottawa based burlesque troupe that is unfortunately no longer like really together, but still love them to death. But yeah, so that's kind of like how I got started in it, and a bit of the journey. But yeah, it's been really fun.
Oh wow, yeah, because it looked like you were having a blast.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And the crowd went nuts. Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is the thing. You take like you just have a bra strap and you just go, ooh, and then everyone starts
Like,
screaming. You
"Ah."
feel like the hottest person alive. Be like, yes, you love my shoulder.
Yeah, you look at my shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a good look at my shoulder. Was it intimidating? Like what was more intimidating? Like the initial I'm going to try this, or was it like the first group performance or your first solo performance? Or were there different levels of
It was
um
different for like different aspects. So like I would say the first group performance and like getting into it was um like I always like dancing like sexy in the club and stuff like that, but so like I felt like fairly comfortable with it. um but it got to the point where it's like, okay, you're gonna be like taking your clothes completely off, and I was like, oh, that is a bit scary. For sure. um but I got over that one pretty quickly. I would say the most and like intimidating I would have been for my first solo performance, not for the fact of like it being burlesque, but more for the fact of like, okay, this is my own choreography that I made myself. And now I'm putting that on for like a group of people that I admire. And like, that was the biggest thing. It's just like, what if my choreography's not good? um, and so I think that was like the most intimidating thing about it.
Okay. Yeah, I can
Mhm.
kind of relate to that because it's the same as like a comic where you're like, this is my stuff. What if nobody laughs? Or what if nobody thinks
Yeah.
it's funny? Or,
Exactly,
like,
exactly. I'm like, what if I got up there and people are like, "Oh, this is not sexy," and I'm like,
or yeah,
"Come
or
on."
this yes, 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 yes. Yes, I can relate to that that performance
Hmm.
um aspect of it.
Hmm.
Um is it that like I know for myself, like when I was thinking about doing comedy, like this is years before, like when I
Hmm.
was back and forth, like deciding whether I wanted to pursue it. I remember at one point I was like, I'm gonna go to, I was living in Toronto at the time, and I was like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna go like two cities over
Mm.
and do it if I were to do it, so that nobody I know will, the chances of
Mhm.
me running into somebody that I know are very low. But then when I
Yeah.
actually decided to do it, like once I was here, I was like, I want everybody to
Yeah.
know. Like, was that is that something that you contemplated, or is that a factor or not a factor in your performances now?
It's definitely something I've thought a lot about, especially with burlesque being like a bit of a taboo form of art itself. Like a lot of people link it to like stripping or sex work or things like that, which is not like, in my humble opinion, is not really exactly what it is. It's more of like still like that art of tease. But because you are like getting close to naked on stage, it can be like frowned upon. So like when I like created this persona and everything, I was very, very specific about being like, okay, these are the people that can know about it, and these are the people that should really not know about it.
Okay.
So like in that sense of like linking it to Betty Baywatch, like has a bit of like I can still like keep it what's the word, like confidential or like anonymous to a certain extent.
Okay.
um so like when performing in Ottawa, like I'm not too concerned about it. Also, I have like all of my family and people I don't really want to see it all live in Hamilton, so it's really convenient for me.
Okay.
um
Okay.
so like Ottawa is like where I came for university and stuff, and just kind of stuck here. So most of the people that like I talk to on a regular basis are just like friends and partners and things like that. So I'm like, I'm not too concerned about who shows up to like Irene's pub on a Wednesday.
Okay. 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 Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that aspect because um uh for myself it's like it's a very big part
Mhm.
I know like this is a very big part of your life.
Mhm.
Like comedy is a big part of my life, and I think I don't have like a separation
Yeah.
between, because wherever I go, like at work, they
Mhm.
all know I'm a comedian. Some of them have
Yeah.
come to see me perform. Like in my personal life, like friends who I haven't, like say friends who live far away know that
Mhm.
I do comedy
Mhm.
and they want to see me sometime, or
Mhm.
if I'm in their city and performing there, they'll come out and
Mhm.
everything. Is it do you do you think you'll always keep it separate? Do you want it to
I would say it
be?
Yeah, I would say it depends. Like for me in my personal life, with like friends and like people like that, I generally like don't care. I'm like, you can know that I do it and I want you to know that I do it, so you'll come to the show and like I'll get paid. But when it comes to like professional life, like working outside of like doing burlesque, it is something like personally I like to keep very separate.
Mhm.
Not that I think like people at my work would be like, "Oh, I can't believe you're doing that," but more just the fact of like those are just two lives I like to keep separate in a lot of different respects. This is
Yes.
kind of like a personal choice.
Yes.
But also like let's say I leave my job and I start doing like just more art stuff like for work, um, then it would be like complete crossover, like everyone would know,
Right.
sort of thing for sure. Yeah, it's just like I want to keep that like professional, like work stuff in one box, and I'd like to keep like personal burlesque art in
And
another.
another, right, right. Yeah,
Mhm.
because like I don't, even though work knows that I that I that I'm a comedian, like I
Mhm.
never talk about work.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly,
work isn't in my set, it's not in my act. I'd never discuss anything on stage. I'd never take
exactly.
anything from work on stage,
Yeah, yeah,
you
and, like,
know.
I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be, like, corporate baddie coming up and, like
Mhm. Exactly. You know what Tim in, accounting did? Like,
Yeah,
no, yeah, so I have it very, I keep that very separate, and,
Mhm,
so they yeah, I've had, like, colleagues and, like, directors and stuff
mhm.
come to my show. I've invited them to shows and
Okay,
everything, but
nice.
I know that, that was a personal decision that I made,
Yeah.
that like work doesn't, no matter how hilarious something is, no matter how great a piece of material something at work is, that it's off limits. It's off, like
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I would say is off limits
Yeah, no, that
in my
totally makes
act.
sense.
Yeah.
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 The only thing that's, like, I find very funny is, like, I won't tell anyone from work, but when it comes to, like, family and things like that, my mom knows that I do burlesque, and, like, she's very supportive of it, and she really likes it, but it's almost, like, too supportive in some aspects because 'cause I'll be posting on Instagram of me, like, shaking my ass, and she'll comment, like, "Oh, my beautiful daughter, I'm so proud," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let's
That's
pick
so
which post we comment on."
that's so funny. I have an aunt like that. My godmother, because my parents never knew. Like both, my parents are gone, and I
Mhm.
started comedy after they passed.
Okay.
And my aunt, she's my aunt, but she's my godmother. She's my
Okay.
one of my
Mhm.
mom's best friends,
Mhm.
and so I've shared with her that I do comedy. But I don't remember if I told her directly or if her daughters saw a clip and told her. But
Okay.
we were talking, and she's telling me how she wants to see it, and I'm like,
I don't know about that.
and she's like, I want to see you, I want to support you and all of this. And I'm like, Auntie, I appreciate that. She's like, I know you comedians have your own language. I know you have your own language. And then this is on my mother's side.
Mhm.
I'm going to a festival in New York City, and I have family
Nice.
there.
Mhm.
And so they're all excited. We want to come to the shows. We want to come to the shows, which is awesome, the support and everything. But I've had to warn them. It's like, you've never seen this side of me. So
Yeah.
just
Be prepared.
Be prepared. Just be prepared. Oh, we know comedy. It's fine. I'm like, yeah,
Okay.
okay. Just you've been warned. Certainly. But yeah, sometimes it's like yeah, too supportive, but it's just the fact that yeah, they're not really sure what they're supporting
Yeah, exactly. It's so
because
fun.
they've never actually seen my
Hmm.
set. They might have seen like a little clip of something, but they haven't seen a full set. They've probably never heard me swear or talk
Hmm.
about sex or anything like
Yeah.
that. And it's like, brace yourself. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So how do you prepare for a show? Like, do you have, like, say as a comedian, like I would know, okay, the show, say I'm doing a show tomorrow.
Hmm.
Uh Either I'm doing a spot, like a regular spot,
Hmm.
or I'm the feature act or something. So it would depend on, I might have a different, I might do a short set, like a 6 minute
Hmm.
set, or if I'm a feature act, I might have a 20-minute set or a
Hmm.
30-minute set, or it might be for like a special show for an organization.
Hmm.
Um, is that sort of preparation, or those kind of in burlesque, are those like, where do you, like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, where do you perform? Like, where do
Hmm.
you perform regularly, and how do you prepare? Do you
Hmm.
have different kinds of routines for different kinds of shows?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So generally, like the burlesque events I did, a lot of them were pre-COVID because COVID kind of messed everything up for a while, and online shows were just not my bag.
Yeah, yeah. There's certain shows that, yeah,
Yeah,
comedy you can do online to a degree, but
yeah, burlesque a
other
little
art
different.
forms aren't as transferable. True.
Yeah. Um, but for a lot of shows, you usually get booked for like one or two acts. And each act is just the length of whatever song you've chosen to do. So it's kind of like variable depending on like kind of what you want to put on. Like for Small Fish, for example, that was a very, very different experience for me because I did two songs directly back to back.
Mm.
Because they're like, you have an 8 minute spot, and I was like, well, I'll try to fill that. There's only so many articles of clothing that can come off in 8 minutes. um,
You're out there like
but yeah,
17 layers of clothes
literally.
to last
Uh,
8 minutes.
yeah. So generally when I'm preparing, it's just like, am I doing one or two songs that night? And how I do it is I have like certain like acts in my repertoire. I'll be like, okay, like I've done this like 90s babies number like a few times in the past little bit. Maybe I'll switch it up and go back to like a different number I did. And it's just kind of like that. It's like not really it's a lot more fluid in terms of like what you need to like have prepared. The only sort of like preparation I'd like really do, and this is like a few weeks in advance, is like if I want to make a new number, I have to like choreograph it from scratch. Um, so example, like again, Small Fish, that was one I choreographed from scratch. So like I did it like 2 weeks in advance and like choreographed everything. So it just depends on like where I'm at within like my material. But if it's just, oh, do an act you've already done, which like some people will ask you to like be like, we really like this number, can you do it at this event?
Mm.
Then it's just like, oh, a few days of practice, get back into it, and then get on, you do your little 3 to 4 minute song, and then you get off. That's about it.
Like, how often do you perform?
Lately, not often.
Okay.
Because besides burlesque, I also do dance theater with Trip the Light Theater Collective, um, which we're in Ottawa Fringe coming up in June. So my life has been
Hmm.
that show,
Right,
because
right.
it's been a lot of rehearsal. Um, but before the pandemic, I was performing maybe like twice a month ish,
Okay.
either with like solo stuff or with the group I was in. But since then, because the group kind of disbanded over the course of COVID, and like soloy, I just like haven't gone back into it because I've been working a lot on like other like dance and theater aspects of like my art career. So yeah, haven't really been back into it. And then, well, Maggie and Glennis created Small Fish. And like Maggie is a partner of mine and Glennis is like one of my best friends. They're like, you need to do burlesque at it. And I was like, okay, I guess I can whip something up for the both of you. But once I did it again, I was like, oh, I remembered how fun it was and like how good I feel after doing it and like how
Yeah.
empowered I was. So I'm like, oh, I need to get back into doing this more often.
Yeah, no, because it was incredible. Because like I said earlier, I didn't really, that was like my first performance that I
Mhm.
ever saw, but I knew like Dita Von Teese and
Mhm.
Gypsy Rose Lee and
Mhm.
all of that, and seeing as aspects of it in television and movies
Mhm.
sort of thing, but I'd never experienced it. Like I was talking
Mhm.
to them yesterday and I said, that whole show, like I'd never seen drag performances before,
Mm.
even though
Oh,
I
no
knew,
way.
yeah, I knew
Yeah.
about, drag performance and drag
Mhm.
theater and all of that, but I'd never been at a drag show before, and I'd never seen burlesque live and everything. And I was just so like, woo! I loved all of it. I just thought it was so much fun. And I never thought of myself as artistic, but it's like, I
Mm.
guess I kind of am,
Oh, no,
you know?
absolutely. I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
I really
everyone can
enjoyed it.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So it was just, I found it fascinating, and I know I really wanted to talk to you about it.
Mm.
Like I had mentioned that I was like Googling like
Mhm.
burlesque classes and stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
I'd found I found a group only because the promotion for the upcoming Small Fish show
Mhm.
has another burlesque dancer. I can't think of her
Viva,
name.
yeah.
Yeah.
Viva Van
And
Diva, who is fantastic, by the way, like an
yes,
incredible
yes.
performer.
And she's part of a troupe that gives lessons and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
what struck me when I saw the promo was, when I saw the promo, like her profile on Instagram, and then I went to the website, is that just the different the diversity of ethnicities and body
Mhm.
types and
Mhm.
and that made me feel kind of good, because I was like, I
Mhm.
don't have a nice body. I can't go out there and shake this. I can't do, I can't do, not with this, what I mean? With my old flabby body, I can't do this, you know what I mean? But then I saw different
Mhm.
bodies,
Mhm.
and that was another thing that another like myth dispelled,
Mhm.
because I
Absolutely.
always assumed, I always equated, burlesque dancing or like stripping or anything like that
Mhm.
with like perfect
Yeah.
cosmetically enhanced, surgically
Mhm.
enhanced bodies, you
Mhm.
know. But it was nice to see regular bodies, like normal
Absolutely.
bodies, normal
Yeah.
bodies, and some bodies that look like mine,
Mhm. Mhm.
that
Absolutely. And I think that's
do
a
it.
big thing in the burlesque community is like burlesque is not about what your body looks like. It's just about like being comfortable in who you are and being comfortable in your own skin and like having a lot of fun, like
Mm,
telling a story through
yeah.
taking off your clothes. um which is always a great time. But yeah, no, and that was like one of the things that when I got into burlesque, because like it was really a confidence booster and like it made me feel really good about like my body and like because of burlesque I've created such like a lovely like relationship with my self-esteem and like with how I look and how my body moves and things like that. I'm like not even the fact of like, oh, this is just how I look, but I'm like, oh, if I twist my hips this way, like people will go wild. I'm like, it's very cool to like be able to captivate an entire audience by just like little movements like that
Mm.
and things like that.
Oh yeah, because I was looking at it from that aspect, and I'm like,
Mhm.
even just to take it like how you would sign up for like an aerobics class or something like
Mhm.
that, because I'm like, even if I never take it to the stage, I never
Mhm.
perform, like I just think, because I've had self-esteem,
Mhm.
body image issues for as long as I can remember, and
Mhm.
I've never, except with the exception of comedy,
Mhm.
when I'm on stage where I feel like I understand how you feel
Mhm.
sexy and empowered and
Yeah.
strong and fearless and all. That's exactly how I feel on stage when I do comedy.
Mhm.
Uh I haven't found something, or I haven't figured out a way to feel that way off stage too.
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I
that
mean? And I
totally
would
makes
love
sense.
to incorporate, like I would love to feel the way I feel on stage all the time, not just on
Mhm.
stage, you know?
Oh yeah. And I do
Yeah.
think like for sure like signing up for burlesque classes and doing that with like a cool group of people like really really helps with that sort
Mhm.
of thing and
Yeah.
like it, the classic like brings you out of your shell type of
Yes.
thing like 100% because you feel so confident after you like your
Yeah.
chin is lifted like your shoulders are back you're like yeah I'm
Exact.
hot.
Yeah, yeah. Because I find that, and it's only when you really think about it, when you really analyze it, when you really
Hmm.
think about your body movement and your posture, I
Hmm.
find like I tend to
Curling, yeah.
curl in, and it's like I want to be like tits up.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, look at me. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
walking down the street,
Drink it
like,
all in. Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Because I know when I looked it up, I was like, everything in the universe is saying, because I'm like, it's on a Sunday, like a Sunday afternoon class, and
Mhm.
it's, relatively small class. It's not that far. Everything is
Yeah.
telling me to do it, but then, yeah, just the same like fear sort of
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm. No, that totally makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's always the fears when like starting it because you're like, for me, it was really like, what if I'm not good at this? What if like
yeah.
everyone else is super hot and like I'm not and things like that. But
Yeah, and I
the
don't bend well and stuff
yeah,
like that.
oh, say flexibility,
Yeah,
not
I'm not
like my
flexible at
strong
all.
suit.
I can't bend my knees, and
Yeah.
getting up off the floor, and it's either I'm up or I'm on the floor.
Floor.
Like, I can't do both. Like,
And that's the
choreograph
thing
something
that's yeah.
completely on the floor,
Let
or me standing
don't
up the
do
whole
it.
time. Like, none of this up and down shit. Like this.
Well, that's like what is good about burlesque is because there are so many different like people and so many different bodies that do it. It's also like a lot of what's talked about in the burlesque community is like accessibility in your choreography. Like if you want to bend and break and do all of that stuff, like totally go for it.
Mhm.
Just make sure you're taking care of your body like
Yes.
afterwards. But there are like many, many performers that are like, I will not do floor work because I have bad knees and you will all have to deal with that. And everyone's like, yeah, super cool. That's totally fine. You're
Mhm.
still showing us your tits. Like I like I'm good with that.
Tits are still involved, so it's all good.
Then it's like, okay, great.
Like, I won't do this. Will you show your tits? Yes, fine. Like, we're good.
Mhm. But no, like every performer I've worked with has like accessibility's been a huge thing and like also just like choreography in the sense be like I'm not super comfortable like showing this much skin. I'm only comfortable showing like dressing a little bit more modestly and people are like, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
That's good. Like anything kind of goes.
yeah,
People are very very understanding of people's comfortability levels with like everything cuz like to a certain extent we can be in a bit of a vulnerable position, especially like coming off stage
yes,
totally naked, be like having to walk through the crowd, be like I need to get to the dressing room because I need
yes,
actual clothes.
right,
um
right.
but no, people are very very understanding and very accommodating within the community,
Good.
and like the places I know that like do a lot of like classes and stuff, which like Viva's a part of at the Rouge Studio of Dance. Fantastic teachers, really cool people, and like really cool students. So I think if you're like, it's like lining up with my schedule, I think you should totally do it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, because it seems like fun. It seems
It
like
it really,
mhm,
really is.
it seems fun, and it seems like the type of thing that goes beyond the class. It
Oh
goes
yeah.
beyond, learning choreography, or the learning
Mm-hmm.
dances and the actual art form, that it's multi-layered, like in terms of like
Absolutely.
how you feel, and what it does for your
Mm-hmm.
self-confidence, your self-esteem, and everything. I
Mm-hmm.
find it seems like it goes beyond that,
Oh,
you know.
absolutely. 100%.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Are you part of a dance school or a burlesque troupe now? I know you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
one that's disbanded, but are you um
Yeah, not currently.
okay.
Strictly because again, like just dance theater stuff has been super busy and like running that collective has been a lot. So yeah, no, not right now. I would love to like get back into one, and I know like I've seen a few people doing auditions with like certain like dance schools and more performing groups and stuff like that, but I simply do not have the time.
If you did have the time, would you teach? Would you consider teaching, or
Oh, that is a good question. I feel like maybe I would run a workshop here and there, but like I don't think I would teach.
right?
A lot of like how I like to do burlesque and like how I like to do like my own choreography is pretty like not like completely individualistic, because like I love getting like feedback and I love working with people to develop choreography. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know if I'd be like I don't know if I'd want to teach, to be
Oh.
honest. I'm like, I like performing and shaking my ass. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I'm like, I also want you to do it, but I don't want to be the one to teach you. So I
Because
am lazy.
that's what I was leaning towards. Because I was like, if you teach it, I'll be more likely to come. But no, I totally get that, because
Yeah.
I know, like, in the comedy community, there are people who love to perform, and there are
Hmm.
people who love to produce,
Hmm.
like, who like to create shows, like create spaces and stage time for
Yeah.
themselves and for others.
Hmm.
There are people who like to host, you
Hmm.
know. I'm not one of those people. I
It's,
I like to perform. It's like I
yeah.
like to show up, do whatever spot I've been hired for, and call it
Mhm.
a day. Like, I like to enjoy the whole show as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
More,
I'm
yeah.
definitely more into the performing side of things. Like I do have some experience doing like more production stuff. Again, like with the dance theater collective, like I'm producing the shows that we're doing at Ottawa and Guelph Fringe, and then we're doing a self-produced show in Ottawa in November. And it's been tough. It's been a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
super fun, but like I
Mhm.
do think moving forward, like I do want to focus more on like I really love like collaborating and building work with artists. So like doing like devised dance theater or collaborating with other burlesque artists to like make an act and things like that. So I really like do like those aspects of it. And like later down the road, like there are certain like art collective things that I want to produce and build as well. But like I need to get better at producing before I can do that.
Is there a this is when I remembered. Is there a, like, how big, or how what is the burlesque scene like in Ottawa? Is it big? Like, do you is there like a burlesque scene in Ottawa, and like Montreal, Kingston,
Oh
Toronto?
yeah, I mean like Montreal and Toronto definitely have like huge burlesque scenes. I would say Ottawa's probably like a bit smaller, just like because we're a bit of a smaller city, but it is still like a very, very very engaged community. I would say a lot of it right now is based out of like certain production teams that are doing some like really cool stuff. Like I said, like the Rouge Studio of Dance, like they put out a lot of shows and things like that. And that's more for like, I would not like more because like there are a lot of like very established artists that like go through that, but it's also like they want to give that opportunity for their students to perform, which is really, really nice. There's also like a few other like production like companies for burlesque, like oh god, the names are completely escaping me. But like Kitty Knievel runs one of them.
I love that
And
name.
then yeah,
That's a great name.
fantastic. And then one of the folks I used to do like my troupe with, their name is Canary Quinn. Highly recommend like looking up their stuff. It's very, very cool. But them with a few other their friends just started another company, Shameless Creatives, that's what it's called. And they put on a big burlesque show at the Bytown Cinema in March, yeah, like right at the end of March, and it was fantastic. Like it was so much fun. I knew they're taking a break after that because they really put on a production. They have
Yeah,
like
and
a
then
lot of
the
performers
planning
on.
the
Yeah.
planning must have been insane for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like completely nuts. But yeah, like they will put out, we'll probably be putting out like a bunch of burlesque stuff too, and like they're great. And then you can always go catch like just other burlesque performance. I know Swizzles, the bar on Queen Street, they have like basement burlesque every month. So people go there to perform. So it's like it's a very like
Swizzles does everything.
oh,
It does everything at
absolutely.
Swizzles. Yeah.
There's literally everything at Swizzle. Every night is like a completely different vibe, and it's so fun.
It is do men do burlesque?
Oh yeah.
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 Okay.
Some people tend to call it boylesque.
Boylesque.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I've known people of like any gender expression to do burlesque. It's not just like women who do it, but like I know men who do it. I know like non-binary and gender fluid individuals that do it. It's just all about feeling confident in your
And
body
expression. Yeah.
and expression. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because
Yeah.
yeah, because I'd never, just because I've had very limited exposure to it. It's only been women that
Yeah.
I I asked the question because I was like, it wouldn't make sense to be like, no, which only women do it, but I just didn't know if other
Oh yeah.
gender expressions, how involved or the participation rates with other
hmm
gender expressions are
Yeah.
in
No, like quite a few people do it. It's like really fun to see too, like how they like kind of like switch it up and like I love it. It's so fun.
That's incredible. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, this has been fascinating, and thank you so much for sharing your experiences and like teaching us a bit about burlesque. Would you like to play a silly game that I have called Crazy Questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So I have 249 questions here,
Okay.
numbered 1 to 249. I used to have 250. I deleted one and I haven't replaced it yet.
Fair enough.
So, so if you could, we can do a few. So
Okay.
you could just choose a number, like pick a number, and I will read you the corresponding question.
Okay. 24.
24. Okay, let's see. What is the best compliment you've ever received?
Oh, when I had just slept with someone and we were lying there and they said, you look like you could be in a Renaissance painting.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
is
was like,
that's a
wow.
great
I
one.
like,
That's a
that's
good one.
nice.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That's a nice
Yeah.
one for sure. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'd hang on to that one for
Oh,
yeah, that's in the
yep.
vault forever. That's amazing. That's an
Yeah.
amazing thing to say. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay, another number, please.
112.
112. If you lost one day of your life every time you said a swear word, would you try not to do it?
Oh no, I'd still swear.
Same.
I'd be dead already. Like it'd be fine.
Yeah, I would have been dead decades ago,
Yeah,
but
I'm like,
yeah. It's true. I think like consciously I'd be like, oh, okay, there's another day gone, but
oh
it's
well.
like, oh well.
I'm not gonna live forever. Might as well have
Exactly. I'm
fun.
gonna die anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Another number, please.
80.
80. Okay. What food do you crave more than any other?
Ooh, I am a super big fan of pho. So I crave a rare beef pho basically all of the time. It's
Okay.
like my favorite comfort food
Oh,
ever.
really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I don't know which one I don't know. I can't answer that right now because sometimes I crave like
Okay.
salty or I'll crave
S-
sweet. It
Oh, I
depends.
am always like a savory, salty kind of gal. I'm like I have like a bit of a sweet tooth, but if like someone's like, "Oh, do you want this like bag of chips?" I'm like, "Yes." I will eat the whole thing in 20 minutes.
Okay, let's do one more question.
Okay. 4.
Four. What movie can you watch over and over and over without getting tired of?
Oh, that's a very good question. Hmm. I would say probably one that I've watched over and over and over again since I was a kid, and still like to this day will watch like every year is Mulan, like the 1998 Disney's Mulan. It was
Okay.
like my absolute favorite movie growing up. I was like, yes, I love this. I'm like, the music, great. The story, great. The like, I loved it so much. So
Oh,
probably that.
oh, nice, nice, nice. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. This was a lot of fun and
Mhm.
fascinating. And I will include your social your Instagram in the show notes.
Awesome.
And I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Good luck in the Fringe
Thank you
Festival.
so much. Yeah.
Have a blast. That'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
so much fun. And
Mhm.
yeah, anytime you want to promote something or you're always welcome back on the show. So
Awesome.
you
Yeah,
have an
thank you
open
so
invitation.
much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was super, super fun. Love chatting with you.
Oh,
But yeah,
thank
this
you.
was awesome.
Yeah, this was awesome. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.